Hi, welcome to My Mom Thinks I'm Cool. This is a channel where we share the film, television, and music that we love and why we love it. This week we are going to be looking at the documentary Feels Good Man, directed by Arthur Jones.
Feels Good Man sounds like a feel-good documentary. Unfortunately, it was not the case, though a very good documentary. Yes. It focuses on the artist Matt Furie and a creation of his that got out of his control. And that creation is, of course, Pepe the Frog, which started life as a kind of laid-back, chill cartoon, positive character that he invented back in the mid-aughts and transformed through the internet into a hate symbol. And how devastating that was, obviously, to the artist, who is himself a very sweet, laid-back person.
Yeah, one of the things that's really striking about the film is you see what a gentle soul Matt Furie is, and so you have all this interview footage with him, and just you get to know him and his approach to things, and he's really, as I said, gentle and peaceful, and he really just wants to send positive vibes. So he's quite flabbergasted at first that Pepe the Frog is co-opted by some other groups, but this grows into Pepe slowly being transformed into more of a grotesque hate symbol. So this film is really good at breaking down from the creation of Pepe to what Pepe's become now in 2021, and it shows it's a good film for sort of looking at internet culture, meme culture. And so once something's out on the internet, no one can really control it anymore. And in some ways, no one owns it if you're not trying to make financial gains from that. And then what happens when no one really owns that? And for some reason, Pepe just became this symbol for some really angry, frustrated people who would use the social platform 4chan.
Yeah, and it really breaks down how that the meme of Pepe evolved or devolved. It started out as a workout thing on workout videos.
Yeah.
Or
workout posts and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And, I think people just were attracted to the character of Pepe, just the way he looked, and the fact that he was saying this catchphrase, feels good, man. And people really identified with that. And then it got onto 4chan, and the movie really takes you through the process, how, through this particular website, it really transformed Pepe into something dark and toxic.
Yes, and it even looks a little bit about why this would be, and part of it seemed that Pepe was something that people could reproduce easily themselves, which maybe partly lent itself to being so memeable. And I think one of the strengths of the film is that not only does it have some really good footage with the artist Matt Furie, but it actually has interview footage with an individual who is a 4chan user and has been for quite a long time, and he's very much a part of that subculture. And by having his perspective, I really felt like I was getting a little bit of an understanding of what it was and how it shifted into being something that became associated with Trump. Sometimes documentaries will just focus on these academic outside voices, which you still need some framework from them. But, having his voice, I actually learned more from his voice, I'd have to say, about what happened with Pepe than I did a lot from these outsider, scholarly voices.
Yeah, I agree. That was one of the real strengths of this documentary, is it did have that insider voice. And it really showed you how divergent Pepe became on this particular website 4chan from obviously the intentions of the creator, which were very innocent and laid back and chill, and it just snowballed into something so toxic and terrible and so far removed from what it started as, and that's the way internet culture is. That's the way meme culture is. It's constantly mutating and changing. And the mutation of Pepe was quite stark.
Oh, yes, it's quite grotesque at parts. And I mean, they will show you some of the memes that Pepe became as it continues on. And then, sometimes it's disturbing and sometimes frustrating when you're watching the film, because the internet can be such a dark place. And this is a documentary that in a lot of ways is looking into that darkness. And you still, at the end of it, I have to say, like, you only feel like you just get the briefest glimpse of like what's going on with the people who decided to turn Pepe into what part of what he became. Because Pepe became this like kind of grotesque figure before Trump even announced his presidency, and it bleeds into that figure. So I think it's a really interesting documentary to watch right now. It would be hard to watch it, I think, if Trump was still president, but a lot of people talk about like that element in society, and I think in most countries is still there. This really angry, malevolent force is still sort of out there. It's still somewhere on the internet, angry people who are hateful, and just because there's a different president, it's not gone.
Yeah, and it shows you how kind of self-reinforcing the hate on the internet is, and people like kind of winding each other up. And I mean, the movie it shows a context from the mid-aughts to the present, where there's been a transformation in the larger society with a rise in far-right groups, hate groups, authoritarianism. I mean, the movie doesn't explain this larger context, but it's something that we've experienced, and Pepe is kind of like, just something that rose up from the bottom in this context and became something so terrible.
Yeah, so almost within the frame of the film, Pepe, from seeing his beginning and then how deep and dark it goes into what the end is, he's sort of your guide into this underworld.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then the movie shifts to the struggles of Matt Furie to regain some control on his creation that became this monster. And I think it's a limited success, but he did eventually lawyer up. Mm-hmm. And actually there's footage with one of his fellow artists when Pepe first became a meme, not necessarily the toxic meme that he became, but when he was the first meme, and he was just like, no, you gotta lawyer up, you gotta like get control of this creation. And the artist is just such a laid back guy, Matt Furie, and he's just like, no, it's okay, I don't wanna, punish other artists for whatever. And I think he regrets not doing so earlier, but that's just the kind of guy he is. And eventually he does get some lawyers on his side to take down some of those big names that are profiting off of the image of Pepe, like Alex Jones from InfoWars, Richard Spencer, and a few other like really prominent alt-right figures. So he does win some legal battles there, but at the end of the day, a meme is something that you really can't control. And it really got away from him. But it does kind of look at a more hopeful example. During the Hong Kong pro-democracy protests, Pepe was reappropriated again in that context. So not as a symbol of hate, but as a symbol of hope. So
yes.
it does kind of end on a hopeful note, but by and large, it's kind of like a dark journey.
Yeah, but I think with having those interview clips with Matt Furie and who he is, it never goes so dark that you feel like all is lost.
No. He has this kind of like enlightened attitude to what has happened to him. Now obviously, this must have been a really hard thing to happen to someone who's just so gentle and sweet and, not deserving of this fate his creation.
No, and
which
he
would started
received-
off gentle and sweet. Yeah, and he's received death threats. He's also received condemnation from people on the other side who are like, you bear some responsibility for this creation, and you just really feel sorry for this artist.
And again, another interesting part of it is that it's, this is when the internet was really sort of starting to boom. It's past its very early stages, of course, but it was still new enough that there's like a wild quality to it, and you see that progression with it. Because I guess we should mention that 4chan is a platform where the posts are all anonymous. So they're just like trying to get attention on it and up the game on it all the time. And I think that's partly what led to what Pepe became.
Yeah, and there's this level of irony with the hateful imagery that Pepe became. And the creators of those memes can hide behind that irony and say, like, I'm not really hateful, this is just a joke. But of course, at a certain point, it's not a joke anymore. And it's a legitimate hate symbol.
So definitely would recommend checking out Feels Good Man. If you go to the website for the documentary, it has a bunch of links for how you can stream it. It also was just on PBS, and I think depending on your region, if you're in the United States, you can still watch it on the PBS website. It's definitely worth going out to look for and to watch. And if possible, if it's possible for you, maybe do stream it somewhere from the website so that those filmmakers get some compensation for the wonderful work that they did.
Yeah, absolutely a must-see movie.
So thanks so much for tuning in to My Mom Thinks I'm Cool. We're going to be back next week talking about the Polish TV miniseries, The Decalogue.
Thanks for watching.